Back to the phone lines. We'll talk next to Darlene in Idaho. Hi, Darlene.
Hi, Hank. Thanks for taking my call. And I enjoy listening to you. You're a light in the dark here in Idaho.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. My question is, in Genesis, after Cain killed Abel, and then it says in chapter 4, verse 16, that Cain went out from the presence of God and dwelt in the land of Nod. This is probably a silly question, but the people of Nod, were they children of Adam and Eve? I mean, they would have to be, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's not a silly question. It's a good question. I mean, it's a question that we get all the time, and I think it has to be contextualized, first of all, by the Scripture as a whole, which says, from one man God made every nation of men, that they should inhabit the whole earth. So we know that we are all related to one man. The origin of humanity comes through Adam and Eve, who is created from Adam. So we can therefore go back to Genesis chapter 4 and know that the land of Nod east of Eden would be inhabited with sons and daughters of Adam and Eve. And remember that the laws against incest did not come into being until a long time afterward. And there's a reason for that, for a practical standpoint. You have an accumulation that happens which causes defects and ultimately corrupts the gene pool, and therefore the laws of incest made sense at a particular point in time. But that wasn't always so. So it's perfectly conceivable that one of Adam and Eve's sons would marry a daughter of Adam and Eve, or a niece. So the fact is, Adam and Eve lived a long time. They propagated for almost 1,000 years. It's a long period of time. And their sons and daughters also propagated. And so as a result of that, you have whole communities and whole lands which become populated.
Yes, that makes sense. I mean, I know that made sense to be that, but yeah, that I understand, because it was a pure genetic pool at that time, and that would make sense.
Yeah, genetic defects accumulate gradually over time. And of course, that's all a function of sin, which enters as a result of Adam and Eve falling to the lives of perpetual sin terminated by death. And as a result of that, you have an encroaching evil that permeates all of the world and ultimately affects us in such a way that death becomes the destiny for all of us. And the Bible is written to say that that is reversed ultimately through the resurrection of Jesus Christ, which we can participate in as believers. But again, the notion that a lot of people bring to Genesis is that Adam and Eve only had two children, Cain and Abel. And therefore, they wonder, where does the land of Nod come from? But while the Bible focuses on Cain and Abel, certainly there's no warrant for believing that they were the only children that Adam and Eve had.
Yes, I know, and that's why I thought, well, people probably will think that's silly. But you've answered my question and made sense out of that. I just started a recent new yearly Bible study, and that was going through that, and it just stood out to me, and I appreciate you taking the question.
Well, you're welcome, and your question was not silly. I'm glad you called. Any question that's important to you is important to me.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that, and thank you very much.
God bless you, Darlene.